Anderson Business Coaching inspires extraordinary organizational results by engaging the talents of ordinary people. ABC opens the communication links from the top to the bottom of the organization to tap into an untapped reserve of creative ideas and solutions by the people who do the work every day. Secondly, we identify external resources that have the experience and capability to develop systems and processes that the internal staff can manage.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Good-Hearted Leadership. It's always a joy for me to be able to share some of my experiences in life with other people who have gone down the path of good-hearted leadership. And let me remind you again about the 5 principles of good-hearted leadership. So as we move forward and we have this conversation with my guest today, Miguel Sanchez, it'll make some sense because his journey is a very interesting one and one that you'll benefit from immediately. Now the 5 elements are: 1, shared vision, because if people don't know where you're going, you certainly can't expect them to follow. Second thing is relevant skills. They need to know what needs to be done and you have to be able to teach them that. Third is meaningful incentives. And we're not talking about a lot of money here. Encouragement, respect, dignity are all the sorts of things in leadership can make a huge difference. Number 3 is appropriate resource. 4 is appropriate resources, because the thing is, with appropriate resource, which could only be support, you can make a huge difference. And finally, fearless feedback. What I see more and more inside of organizations is people are afraid to say something or have become complacent or maybe even sabotaging the organization. What we're going to talk about today as we talk with Miguel Sanchez is how we apply these principles to move something forward that's incredible. And we're talking about the San Pedro Fish Market, which has 15,000 customers come through every weekend. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce Miguel Sanchez, the guy who manages that and also has 4 businesses on his own. Miguel, it's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Ray. Actually, the fish market is owned by one person. Mm-hmm. He owns 3 restaurants in the same strip. I manage one of their restaurants. Mm-hmm. The fish market is too huge for me to manage. Yeah. However, within the 3 restaurants, we serve close to an average weekend is 10,000 people. Wow. We have Father's Days coming up. Yeah, yeah. We expect about 15,000 people to come through the 3 restaurants on the weekend.
Well, tell me, 15,000 people in the pier on the restaurant. Give me a sense as to how you manage all that, because I mean, for me, it's like this is not going to work.
I don't even know. I just do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes when you sit there and think about what's in front of you, you get scared. Yeah. And then you're not able to lead anymore. Sometimes you just have to jump.
No, and that's a very good point. So that's a good segue for the jump. Mm-hmm. If you can, you've shared your story about how you got here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that road, that jump, which is really significant?
We'd love to. I made a decision when I was 16 years old. I thought I was a man. Mm-hmm. I thought I was grown up. I thought I was a grown man. And I told my mom, I want to go to America and try my luck. Mm-hmm. And she was not happy with it. She was very upset. And finally, I convinced her to allow me to come to America because she had to finance my way here.
Right. But tell us a little bit about the plan and where the circumstances your mother was in at that point, because that's really that's huge.
My mother was 32 years old when my father died. Mm-hmm. It's 8 of us. It's 8 kids. And she did not know how to write, how to read. She had never had a job before. Now she was confronted with the situation that she had to raise 8 kids, and one of my brothers is handicapped. Mm-hmm. So it was 8 of us, and she was alone against the world to raise 8 kids. Mm-hmm.
And you're the 6th of those 8?
I'm the 6th of those 8. So when I present her, I had a business plan. I thought that's the way my mind works. So I presented her with a plan. I said, "Look, Mom, just let me go for a year. I'll make some money. I'll buy a taxi cab. Mm-hmm. Then I'll come back and work, and then buy another one, and then save some money, and then buy another one, and then we have a fleet of taxi cabs, and then we'll make a living. I want to be able to take care of you." Mm-hmm. Against her better judgment, she helped me get some funds to pay for my ticket to get from Mexico City to Tijuana, which is the borderline with San Diego, the United States. So I embarked on my journey at 16. And I was excited, I was happy, I had a dream, and I was going for it. Little did I know, when I got to the border, and I talked to some people, and they take me to people cross illegally. And there was this 10-foot fence. metal fence that we had to jump to get across. This fence was littered with crosses. I mean, thousands and upon thousands of crosses, wooden crosses. And I began to ask and wonder, what does that mean? I mean, is somebody prayed and they put a cross up there, or what's going on? And they said to me, no, those crosses signify every single person that has died trying to reach for the American dream.
Yeah.
At that moment, I made a decision. I will not become one of those crosses.
Yeah. And you were 16?
16 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember the very first time I climbed over that fence, man. I climbed over the fence. The very first thing I saw was a Jack in the Box. And when I was 16, I haven't had a hamburger yet.
Yeah.
So I said, I need to get me a hamburger.
Yeah.
I need to get me a hamburger. So that was my very first goal, to get me a hamburger when I came to America.
Right. And I think what'll help the value of what we're talking about here is that, as I told you, I came from Germany. And my father's family came from Sweden. So we're all immigrants in many ways. And,
Right.
and most of us are led here by a dream. The thing that I really find fascinating as I talk to immigrants is their vision of America is so much different than those of us who live here.
Right.
Because we kind of take it for granted. But for those of you who are coming from the outside, like my father did and I did, et cetera, it's an opportunity. So take us from there to the journey of getting across, because as you've pointed out, many people try 2 or 3 times and they quit. Tell us a little bit about that story, because I think it's kind of fascinating.
I was determined to make it.
Yeah.
I got caught 17 times trying to make it across the border. And it got to a point where sometimes the immigration officer will open I was in the trunk. They will open the trunk and, you again, in Spanish, otra vez. And I'm like, yeah. They did the process. Back then it was easier, but that was before 9/11. They deported me. They went back, and I called my mom in Mexico. I got caught again. She goes, come back, just return. I said, Mom, I'm not going back defeated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna accomplish what I came here for.
And as I recall, the time he found you in the trunk, you literally told him, you won't see me again.
The last time.
Yeah.
The last time when he said, okay, because he goes, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that night I decided, I will make it.
Yeah.
I don't care what I have to do, I will make it. I said, you won't see me.
Yeah.
I looked at him in the eye, I said, you will not see me tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's the night that I made it.
Yeah, cool.
That night I made it across. I landed on San Pedro.
Yeah.
That's where I landed. And my sister worked at the fish market. She was cleaning the tables.
Okay.
So she said, why don't you come and start collecting cans or do something so you can start making money? I said, I'll do anything. Because they won't give you a job because you're too young, you don't speak the language. I said, just whatever you do. She goes, but the problem, she had an infant child, 8 months old, I remember, my nephew. And I was walking around pushing my stroller with bags hanging with cans and digging through the trash. My very first hamburger came from a trash can. I took the hamburger, it had a bite, and I was like, look, nobody was looking. And I put it in my bag. I walked away and I shared with my nephew.
Yeah.
So this is a funny story here. My sister goes, hey, here's some money, go buy something to eat. So you guys give him something to eat. I said, oh, we ate already. He goes, what did you eat? A hamburger. Where did you get the money from? I said, I found it in the trash. He goes, and you fed that to my son?
Yeah.
I said, he liked it.
Yeah,
it was good. It was a good hamburger with fries and everything.
Yeah. But there's an example of how different things are. I remember when I was in Vietnam, watching the Vietnamese children go through the food we threw away and literally picking off maggots and eating it because it was the only thing they had. And so it was very humbling for me to realize that what we think of as throwaway in other parts of the world are food.
That's food. That's correct.
Take us from there, where you've just fed your nephew this refuse, to how did you ever get a job at the fish market at 16 years old? And tell us a little bit about that, because that's a funny story.
Well, I'm collecting my cans. I'm walking around and making a mess in the trash cans.
Yeah.
So the owner, what are you doing? And I looked at him and just nodded my head. I don't know what the heck he was saying. So he told me, you can't be here, you need to leave. So by his body language, I figured what he was saying. So I walked away and then came back. And then came back again. And he told me again, you can't be here, you need to leave. But I noticed he was getting more excited now, more upset. So he finally got somebody to translate for me. Where he said, you know what, he says, he brought me into the office, I got my bag of cans, put it down. He said, you can't be here. Next time he's gonna call immigration. Once I heard that word, I said, oh no, please.
Yeah.
So as I'm walking out, I looked and I said, can I just get my bag of cans? The guy just shook his head and asked him if he wants a job. So the guy said, hey, he wants to know if you want to work. I said, yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Just let me know. Clean the tables, clean the bathrooms clean, and no trash on the floor. And you can collect your cans at the same time. Deal. Within a year and a half to 2 years, I was managing that place for this man.
Really?
18 years old.
That was, you were 18 years old and you were managing that. And you've been managing it now for how many years?
I've been here 26 years, 24 years.
24 years.
I've been managing this place.
So, you know, this is where Good Heart Leadership comes in. And basically, you've seen the restaurant grow over these years.
Definitely.
And a lot of what you've done has been because you've developed this relationship with him based on honesty, integrity, and making sure things work and moving ahead. Tell us a little bit about, you know, your growth from that 18-year-old to the man we see before us today, who now is not only managing that, but running 3 other businesses, and how that happened. Because one of the stories you told me, Miguel, that really touched my heart is when you said that, you know, when you were putting those cans away, at some point it was you were putting away possibilities, and I really like that. I can, and it's an interesting metaphor. You know, obviously it wouldn't work in Spanish, but it works very well here. You know, so you began to think that way. Your dream was to go back after a year and get a fleet of cabs. How did your dream shift, and how does that tie in with where you are today?
Well, I think one of the problems that I see with entrepreneurs, so people that have a dream, they're too stiff. They're too narrow-minded. They're focused on that, and they don't want to. You have to be flexible. You have to be flexible with the thing that life is going to throw your way. You know, when I started physically, I was collecting cans. Symbolically, I was collecting possibilities. Very quickly, I learned how many cans it took to make $1. So every time I put it, I was counting $5, $10. I was just counting my cans. But I was not only collecting cans, but I was collecting possibilities. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. See, and what happens nowadays, I knew the following day I will take my cans to the recycle center right away. That was money. I needed my money in my hand. But what happens nowadays, we collect cans all the time. We are full of possibilities. We are impregnated with possibility. And there's people walking around with a bag full of cans. But those cans have to be taken in and cashed in the recycle center of life.
Yeah, true.
You must cash in your possibilities.
Yes.
And do what you are made for.
Right.
We all have a purpose. I learned, I have employees that have been with me for the last 15, 20 years. And some of them have master's degrees. And they refuse to leave because I understand their pain. That's how I'm able to lead them better.
Yes.
I know what it is to be the dishwasher.
Right.
I know what it is to be the cook. I know what it is to be the servant. I know what I can do all of them with my eyes closed. Just last week, real quick, this lady, she has to take her medication, and I said, "Do you take your medication yet?" She goes, "No, I have to have something in my stomach." I said, "Go eat." I said, "No, but I have all these dishes. Don't worry about it. What are you gonna eat?" So I went and made her a hamburger with French fries and chili beans and all that good stuff. I said, "Here, go eat." She goes, "What about the dishes?" "I'll get them."
Yeah.
And I started doing dishes. Some of my employees passed by, they were taking pictures. "Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing the dishes."
Yeah.
My concern wasn't the dishes getting done. My concern was my employee taking care of herself.
Right. And I think, you know, one of the things that you and I talked a little bit about, you know, the principles of Good Heart Leadership, part of that is, as I told you in Vietnam, you know, is you either had a leader that you would take a bullet for or reserve one for. And I think part of what that is leaders sacrifice on behalf of their people. And I think one of the things that you shared with me and that we try to do when I work inside, because it's the frontline worker that does the work.
Definitely.
And if we engage their brain, you know, that's the only infinite resource in the business. And as you pointed out, they can be very creative. Most of the leaders I work with kind of see them as a machine, as opposed to a human being that has all this creativity and possibility. You shared a story with us about how one of the things you encourage your people to do is be creative in terms of their role, whether it's the dishwasher or it's the guy who cleans the table or the waiters. Tell us a little bit about how you handle it when they come up with an idea.
I encourage ideas. I encourage I unleash their creativity when they're at work. You have to unleash their creativity. They make my life easier.
Yeah.
Why am I going to make my life more difficult? So I said, this is the result that I want. To me, it takes A, B, C, and D. I don't care if you do D, A, S. I don't care how you do it. Just get it done. This is the final product. Right. They are a lot better than me.
Yeah.
They are so much better than me at getting it done. And if I give them 2 hours, in an hour they have it ready.
Well, I think part of the point you made is that you have people with master's degrees who stay there because they probably cannot make as much money elsewhere as they can working with you.
You know, they have their professions, but they come back every weekend.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, why don't you just focus on that, spend time with your family? Miguel, I don't only come here to work because of the money, but because you're constantly challenging us to become a better person. They love to come and sit down in my office. What do you have today? I don't know, what do you want? I'm like, he goes, well, I have this problem. They start telling me, I said, okay, you have a challenge. You don't have a problem. What's your challenge? Well, I have this. And when they walk out of that office, they walk like they're carrying a big old gift. I'm the one that is blessed just by seeing them. Transform. I am so blessed, and they keep coming back, and they don't want to leave.
Well, and I think one of the points that I make about leadership versus management, leadership is transformative. I mean, literally, it's about human beings. It's about having them understand their possibilities, which is what you're talking about. Management is transactional. Did you get this done? Did you make the $15? Well, I don't see and the point is that one gets things done, the other one accomplishes dreams.
Right.
I mean, they're very, very different. You know, one of the things that you told me, and I'd like to share, because it was not only you're managing this, but along the way, you kept looking for possibilities to make more money and look for other opportunities. Tell us about the ATM story, because that's really a fascinating adjunct to your management.
Okay. For some reason, it's a cash place only, and they decided, I said, well, we need to make more money because people are starting to use their credit card. So I said, why don't we get an ATM machine? He goes, no, it's too much problem, blah, blah, blah. So I have a smoothie business where I go to different events. And this time I was at the Rose Bowl of Pasadena. The ATM right next to me wasn't working. I was so upset because I didn't make any money that weekend. So I called the company and said, look, you have a machine that is broken, and we're going back and forth. So the guy finally said, do you know you can own your own ATM? My antennas went up. I said, really? How does that work? So he started telling me, I find somebody that will be able to help me. And this person has been doing this for the last 10 years, 15, 20 years. And he only owns 3 machines. So he lets me borrow one of his machines, and within a weekend I said, I want to buy one. He goes, oh, you can't do that. You know, you can't charge people this much. I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. This is how much money you're going to be making. I want to buy a machine. I own 15 machines now.
Now, did you say 15 or 50?
15.
Okay.
1-5. And the thing is that there are opportunities everywhere. Everywhere you turn. See, people tell me all the time, you are very lucky. And I don't believe in luck.
No, I understand.
It's when opportunity meets preparation.
Right.
When you're preparing the opportunity jumps, you take it.
Right. Tell us a little bit, going back to that example, because I think you kind of touched on 2 businesses. One is the smoothie business, and help our audience understand why the ATMs were transformative for the business, cash-only business, because I think that's what made the shift. And explain why that process has enabled you to improve the dollars per square foot in the restaurant.
Well, because it's cash only, and I don't lose any customers. They want to buy something. There's a ATM machine, get some money, and you don't have to get in your card, go to the bank, and do all that stuff. You're there to have a good time, and I'm there to solve your problem. You have a problem at the moment, I'm there to solve your problem and to help you enjoy your family time. Because that's what you're there for. Right. To have a good time with your family.
Right. Well, I think one of the things that you said about that kind of ties back to this whole good heart leadership is about, understanding that the people who work for you, need to know that your character is deep enough so that there is a reservoir of trust that they can count on.
Right.
They can draw from. And that's what I've heard you say. Part of that goes the other side. Because you're managing this restaurant, you don't completely own it. You have to have the same kind of trust on the part of the people who've put you in charge. Have you ever had any challenges in that, and how do you deal with them? Because one of the things you've told me is that while there are contracts, a lot of what you do is based on a handshake, the old-fashioned way of doing business. And your word is your bond, and that you stick by that, and people go, wow, I can't believe this. Give us an example of that, because I see that a struggle in the United States. Well, just go ahead.
I think it's very important for us to honor our word. It's very important. And if you don't honor your word, at the end of the day, you don't have anything. I don't care how many millions you have in your bank. It doesn't mean anything. I've been working with people of different religious beliefs. And just by the way they've seen how I handle money and how I'm not greedy. See, when you have a cake, you can't eat it all.
Right.
You get sick.
Yeah,
so
right.
I like to cut the cake. I say, here, this for you, this is for you, this is for you. And they're like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Some people got to the point where they're, Miguel, are you a Christian? I had to be like, no, I'm an atheist, man. What are you talking about? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. So I said, I am a Christian.
Right.
This person had very strong beliefs in his religion. Within a month, I never mentioned anything about Jesus or any of that stuff.
Right.
Within a month, he called me so excited. He said, Miguel, guess what? I said, what happened? He goes, I became a Christian.
Right.
I said, well, congratulations. Never once did I mention Jesus. Never once did I talk about God, the Bible, or scriptures, or any of that stuff. I walked it.
Yes, and I think what I was going to talk about in that, because that is a powerful example in which he was a guy that's your partner, so to speak, in the ATM, and that you surprised him by giving him more than he had ever gotten from anybody else. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I told him, I said, look, if we do this business this way, you're going to make more money than you ever made in your life. He goes, what makes you so sure? You sound too confident. I said, because I have favor. I had the favor of God upon my life. And at first he was kind of skeptical.
Right. I've heard that before.
I'm pretty sure he heard that before. And I said, no problem. He didn't want to do business with me at that time. But then when I left, he called me. He goes, come back. For some reason, I believe what you said.
Right.
So I went back and we started doing business. And he has been able to make so much money working with me. But it's not for how good I am or how honorable I am, but because of the God that I serve. And I think that's important. I think the other side of this that's really related to what we're talking about is that, I see immigrants like you really understanding the power of possibilities here versus what you had in Mexico. And what you didn't share, and we want to go back to that a little bit, is here's your mother, 32 years old, 8 kids, no breadwinner. And tell us the saying in Spanish that she tried to say, Miguel, you're a fool. Yeah, well, she's a hard believer. I mean, her culture, the way she grew up, very impoverished. She, I remember we were visiting my grandmother, and all 8 of us were waiting for the bus. The first bus pulled up, it was full of people, so we couldn't get in the bus because we all 8 needed to go in there with her. From 12 years old all the way to 8 months. I was 5, 6 years old at that time. So she, I asked, Mom, why don't we just buy a car?
Out of the mouths of babes.
This is her favorite saying, or her famous saying. El que nace para maceta, del corredor no pasa. Which means, if you are born to be a flower pot, you will always be on the foyer. You won't go beyond that. That's the literal translation. But it means, if you are meant to be poor, just be okay with it. And at that time, and she scolded me that day for saying that. I said, why can't we buy a car? Why can't we buy a car? I have never seen myself as a poor person.
Right.
I've always seen the possibility, okay, I don't have it right now. What do I need to do to get it? That's it.
Yeah. And within that, it's kind of like that's where the seeds of your entrepreneurship were kind of spawned.
Correct.
Because basically at 16, you weren't in the United States. You'd have to be emancipated. You couldn't do it on your own. Tell us a little bit about how you sold your mom on your dream.
Well, I told her that I need you to help me. I need you to. I presented her with a business plan.
Yeah.
I said, this is what I want to do. I want to go over there, buy a taxi cab, work for a year, buy a taxi cab, but I need something from you. She goes, what? What do you need from me? I said, I need you to help me get a loan to buy my ticket to leave the city. And she borrowed that money.
Wow.
She borrowed that money to buy my ticket so I can leave the city.
We're talking about a woman. It's still not married, is that right?
Never remarried.
She's never remarried, raising you, and then giving you money because she believed in you more than you believed in yourself.
She always, I remember she told me, you dream too high.
Yeah.
You dream too high. But I was consistent on dreaming high, that she believed what I was saying.
Yes.
Against her will, because she was departing from her baby.
Sure.
Against her will, she went and borrowed money.
So she could let you go.
To finance my dream.
Yeah. You have given examples of sacrifice in terms of managing your restaurant that are really significant. Tell us a little bit more about how, when an employee comes to you with a pain, you're able to work through that in such a way that re-engages them one more time.
Well, one thing that is very important to understand, Ray, is that I've seen many people write books about leadership and talk about leadership, but they have never done the work. Yeah. There's something that they heard or they read. I think to be a good leader, you have to be in the trenches with your people.
Yes.
That you have to understand their pain. A simple example, sometimes when it's low, one of my employees said the other day, he was, you know what, man, it's very slow, can I go home? And I knew that he had been working the rest of the week. Was on a Saturday. I said, yeah, go home, man. And I told him, don't clock out. Don't worry about it. Let the clock run. And I reached into my pocket and got $200. I said, here, I want you to take your family out to dinner or take your kids. There was a circus that night. I said, take the kid to the circus and then take your wife to dinner. He was like, come on, stop playing. I said, no, I'm serious. I want you to have a good time. I understand that pain. I understand having to work and neglecting my family.
Right.
I understand that pain. So why would I want to do that to somebody else?
Yes. Yeah.
And when they come back, they are so willing, like you said, to take a bullet for me.
Yeah.
They are so willing to go the extra mile. See, when you go the extra mile, you don't have to worry about traffic because hardly anybody travels that far.
No, that's true. That's absolutely right.
They are willing to travel the extra mile for me, and I'm grateful for that.
And that's why you have these people who've got higher degrees who are still working for you after 15 years. What I'd like to do now, Miguel, this has been great. And I want you to have an opportunity to share with people. I know you've written a book, and they may want to talk to you some more about what you've learned in leadership and how they can apply it in their own business, particularly if they're Hispanic. So leave us with something that they can, like an email or a website or a phone number that they can reach out to you.
Okay, sure. The name of my book is Conquering America, When in America, Don't Do As Americans Do. And I talk about the struggles, my stories when I came to America and how I started everything. Also, they can contact me on my website, growyourbusinesswithmiguel.com or miguelsanchezspeaker.com. And there's a newsletter. You can sign up for the newsletter. Newsletter is inspirational, it's motivational, and at the same time with a kick in your butt. Because I believe sometimes we have to be shaken.
Yes.
And you'll get a little bit of shaken, but it's good shaken to get you moving and move forward. And for you to be able to accomplish everything that you work hard for.
Cool. Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Well, this has been another episode of Good Hearted Leadership. We really appreciate leaders like Miguel. And I want you to understand that we're looking for your stories. If you know of somebody like Miguel who's made a difference either in business or in public life or in some other way, let us know the story. We want more good leaders because that's what makes America great. Thank you very much.
Anderson Business Coaching inspires extraordinary organizational results by engaging the talents of ordinary people. ABC opens the communication links from the top to the bottom of the organization to tap into an untapped reserve of creative ideas and solutions by the people who do the work every day. Secondly, we identify external resources that have the experience and capability to develop systems and processes that the internal staff can manage.